Welcome to the Black Delegates Podcast. Today's date is June the 11th, 2018. Paul and G are both missing in action. Paul serving his country, happened to be a G7 summit. He disappears. Y'all know how it is. He got to protect Trump over in Korea, wherever he at in Singapore, to make sure, our man come back home, or y'all's man come back home. So, in their stead, we have a guest this week. We got a
special guest.
Got a guest. Yes. Oh, and by the way, G is bust back down to a guest. He has missed 3 episodes in a row. He must start over. So, Jonathan, you can beat him to the punch, man. If you wanted to be on the show 3 times in a row, you might could be a permanent co-host.
Yo, G,
so this
G
is
might be serving the country with Paul, man. He might have got recruited.
I don't think so. I don't see it. He's Paul, he on his. He be like, I'll be gone at 1,800 hours. I'll be back at 200 hours, and he on time. So, he in the service. But, yeah. So we got Jonathan from the Taste Test Podcast. Hey, Jonathan, how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad. It's an honor to be on here. I'm just glad to be here.
Good.
Representing here for Taste Test Podcast. Yeah.
All right. And we got the usuals. You got a Ghetto Phenom. What's good, man?
What's good, man? What's good? Happy to be here another week. Appreciate young Jonathan for joining. I know he is a routine listener. We work together. He always comes up to me, and talks about new things that he heard on the podcast. Like this last week, he accosted me about Nas, about me saying that Illmatic.
Oh yeah, that was trash.
And I thought he was gonna swing on me or something. So appreciate you for finally joining us on the show, man.
Bro.
And also the Black Ryan, the host.
Yep, the Black Ryan. That's me. I was gonna say my name. I didn't forget, but but appreciate you for reminding me. So let's see. This could be either the best episode we've ever had or the worst episodes we ever had. But you won't know until the end. So let us know in the comments. All right? So let's start off this week in blackness, y'all. What's been going on with you? Let's go guest first. Jonathan, you know how this week in blackness works. Since you're an avid listener, so I won't have to give you any kind of training wheels. You just gonna hop right on it like you already a part of the show, because you might be.
All right, well, I'm just gonna splash right into it. My week in blackness, it was, I don't know, I can't say it was black, but it was black. I just
little light skin.
Hold on, wait.
It could be a little light skin.
I don't know what to say to that, but I ain't gonna say that. I ain't gonna play the colorism game, but it was pretty cool. I ended up recording my podcast. We had a special guest come on. She was a guest artist, actually, hailing from Kansas City. So that was really nice. She was our 3rd guest that we had on so far, and we only 10 episodes in. So that was nice to have on. So gonna be editing that stuff this week and all that. But also me, I know Ish, he kind of detailed me and his epic horse wars.
Oh, that was you? I was gonna ask
I would let the cat out the bag. I already beat him this past week or whatever. He yeah, and then he squeaked one out towards the end of the last week as well against me, but it's all good. Yeah. I let him win, so he get his confidence back up. But I'm a crush.
The title is back in the rightful hands. You was a paper champion. I let you get that one victory, but I think I'm 3-1, 4-1. Come on, man.
You should have made this dude come back when you won, though, man. You shouldn't even let him on the show.
See, the thing is, man, this dude be doing the weirdest stuff, man. Like, Horace, this man be picking the weirdest stuff. Like, he literally cup the ball like between his neck and his head, and then want to jump. And knowing I'm short, so I'm like, dude, I can't really do that. But
Are you dunking with your neck ish? Is that what he's saying?
No, I'm not dunking.
Yeah, what is
I'm laying
that?
it up. I'm laying it up. Hey.
Are you?
Hey, what did I tell you? What did I tell you when I told the story? I said his garage jumper's nice, man. I gotta give him his props. His garage jumper is better than mine.
But
so you gotta be creative.
I will give it to him. His jumper finally came alive when I went cold, man. Like Steph Curry in his past finals or whatever, he was cold for like a game or two. Like he just caught me on a bad day. My jumper was cold, but that won't happen too often. Especially when I be hitting my corner threes and stuff. That's my go-to, and then I have some other trick shots I be doing. One-handed, left-handed, right-handed. You can't mess with me, but we gonna see. But that was my weekend blackness.
I'm about to come down and record that.
Me and Ish, our horse wars in our work garage has continued, and recording for my podcast, Test Podcast. By the way, want to go check that out.
Ishmael, your weekend blackness.
My weekend blackness, going into yesterday, usually we record on Sundays. And so going into yesterday, I really didn't know what I was going to talk about. Like, there really wasn't any standout events, whether it was black or whether it was just regularly interesting. And then last night, we decided to postpone the podcast today. So I'm like, let me get out the house. Let me go hit some golf balls. I'll let y'all know I like to golf. I'm not that great, but I enjoy doing it. There's a driving range by my house. So went ahead, got my clubs, drove over to the driving range. Now, y'all know that golf etiquette is a little bit different, where golf is kind of known as a little stuck-up sport, a little stuffy, a lot of white folks. And but the driving range is different. It's more casual. You go up there, I went in some hooping shorts and a t-shirt, and people drink beer or whatever. So it's not the same as a golf course, but there's still usually a certain level of etiquette that's there. Now, when I got there last night, I noticed there was some young brothers that were out there. They're probably about your age, Jonathan, early 20s. And, I'm like, cool, what's up? I tried to get a head nod, but, it's St. Louis, so they just kind of kept going about their business. Oh, I wasn't tripping off of it. Got my balls, and all of a sudden, I'm noticing, like, these brothers are just, like, hella loud. I'm talking about, like, it's one dude that every time he hitting the ball, he just yelling, like, whoa, go, yeah! And it's like three of them. And I didn't even notice, because at first they just hitting and, people hit and talk or whatever, so you don't really trip. But it's like, what happened is, so there was this young Caucasian lady that came over, and I guess she was dating one of the dudes. So as soon as she appeared, they turned up a notch. And then there was two Asian ladies that came, I guess that were with the other dudes, or maybe friends of the girl that was with the one dude. And it was like, whenever these young ladies came around, they just turned up to a whole nother level. So, I'm trying to be there and have a little peaceful time at the range, and I'm talking about they just yelling and cussing and dancing, and I'm just like, come on. Like, I try not to be that dude where black people, we're just generally more expressive. So I try not to fault people for being happy or being even loud, but it was just on a whole nother level. Like I said, they yelling and cussing and dancing and, just everything. So that was kind of strike one. Like I said, I was trying to go there just to blow off some steam anyway, and then that happened. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I'm like, you know what?
You blowing off some steam because I beat you.
Oh, man, please. Again, who is the defending champion right now, young Jonathan? You got your one win. See, he drawn me back into it. So if you to go to the dart game, I'm like 23-3 against you. If you go to horse, I'm like 4-1. If you go to Jenga, you 0-1. Come on, man. So anyway, after I left the driving range, I said, I'm going to go get me some Ted Drewes. Ted Drewes is known in St. Louis, frozen custard, big deal, whoop-de-whoop. So I'm getting my Ted Drews, right? And Ted Drews, a lot of Caucasian people like Ted Drews, and black people too, but mostly Caucasian people there. So I'm ordering my Ted Drews, and this couple is right next to me, and they got a dog. And it's actually a pretty big dog. But I'm not studying off the dog. I'm seeing white people with dogs all the time. So I place my order, and all of a sudden, the dog just gives me this big bark, like, excuse me. And for whatever reason, like, I was startled, but I didn't really jump. Like, for whatever reason, when this dog it was a real loud bark. It was like an angry, like, hey. And for whatever reason, my reaction was to, like, look at the dog and ball my fist, like, I wish you would.
That's black people, yeah.
Right. I turned and look at the dog like, what?
Dog is racist.
And then the dog barks again like, what? So then I look up at the owner, and the owner like, oh, I'm sorry. So the owner, pulls the dog back. And so now the owner's standing back at the line, and his lady, is doing the ordering or whatever. But I'm just like, first of all, why y'all got this dog out here right up in line? And I did hear the man told the lady, oh, just get him a doggy cup. So I guess the dog got some Ted Drews too. So,
yo, have y'all ever given y'all dog some ice cream?
I don't have a dog. I never had a dog.
My mom wouldn't let us have one when we was growing up, so I just never got one.
Oh, for real, I've had plenty of dogs. They ain't never been in the house. They ain't never ate nothing but scraps.
Oh, wow.
And they for sure ain't finna get no doggy cup.
Okay.
I just want to throw that out there. Go ahead. I ain't got no.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing at Ted Drews. I guess they have like doggy cups of ice cream or frozen custard. I didn't know that. So
ridiculous.
Yep, that was really my week in blackness. I don't even know how, because it's both like hella white because it's golfing again and it's Ted Drews, but at the same time, there's a lot of blackness that was infiltrating that whiteness. And I guess it's good because the stories we got this week is the opposite, but we'll get to there when we get to there.
Oh yeah.
So what about you, Ryan? How about your week in blackness? You had a real interesting, busy story last week, so I'm guessing this week won't mount.
It won't be the same. Yeah, it won't be the same this week. I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and then I just thought about it just now. But let's talk about G.
I knew that was coming too.
Y'all remember G put me on blast because we were a couple minutes late recording the podcast, and he said, how come black people can never be on time? Blah, blah, blah. This brother, at 7:52 p.m. yesterday, Ishmael sends the message in the group chat, and he says, are y'all ready? Could y'all start closer to 8:30? So we can record, because Paul's not here, so we can record a little bit later. And what does G respond back saying? He says, I'm on the road coming back from New Orleans. Because I was like, hey, if you want to postpone it, it's cool if you're busy, blah, blah, blah. This dude says he's coming back from New Orleans. And Ishmael said, thanks for the heads up. So I just want to shout out G. Ever since that dude called me out on the podcast, telling me that I'm the one that's late and we can't do nothing on time, blah, blah, blah. This dude ain't been on no show. It's 3 shows in a row. He just at the last second be like, oh yeah, I'm out of town. Oh yeah, I can't make it tonight. We're like, that's the blackest thing that happened to us this week.
That is the
we could have had this. We could have had it recorded yesterday. We would have been good to go. But black people don't RSVP. And apparently they don't do it for podcasts either. So that was my weekend blackness.
I'm there, man.
Right. So I guess we just got to leave a spot open for him. I did ask him, was he still on the show? I said, are you still going to be on the show? And he said, if we'll have him. So I don't know. I got to think about it.
Yeah, and you know it's a black podcast, Jonathan, if folks airing out grievances against one another, and this seems to be our usual occurrence. Like this week in blackness is usually like, what's the podcast beef this week? Because somebody always got something.
Hey, apparently. Yeah. But all right, so we're going to get into these topics, and I'm going to say it right now, get it out the way. This is going to be our most racist episode ever.
Racist.
Ever. So racist. I'm just like, man, it's so many racist topics in here. But okay, let's start off.
But we're living in a post-racial society, so I don't know what you guys are talking about.
We're all equal.
Yeah, I forgot.
No more racism.
We're all equal.
Yeah. Oh, I do want to say this. Before we start. And this is going to be the anti-racist part of the show. There's only anti-racist part, although it's about Trump, so it's really racist. So I do want to say, I'm going to give credit to Trump. He pardoned the lady that we talked about last week.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And we all said that he wouldn't, and he did. And I think he still did it for selfish reasons or whatever. But he pardoned her. So I'm going to do this one time, say, he get his props for doing that. Kim Kardashian, and I will point out, Ryan, you and Paul were saying that she was worthless and she had no talent, whatever. I stayed out of that part of the discussion. She got it done. So shout out to Kim Kardashian and good job to Trump for doing that little pardon thing. That's all I got to say about that.
What she did
she definitely redeemed
Trump
herself.
to do that, but I'm going to just leave that there. I'm just going to leave that right there.
I'm sure she just offered her something from her clothing line, or maybe some makeup, something like that to his wife. So that's all it is. All right, so our first racist story of the evening is man arrested for threatening to bomb the Black Harvard graduation ceremony. Black Harvard students get together during graduation time, and they have a separate graduation with a pro-black agenda. And for whatever reason, young Nicholas Zuckerman, he didn't like it. He didn't like it at all. And he says that if the blacks only ceremony happens, then I encourage violence and death at it. Is what he wrote on the Harvard Instagram post. Back in May last year, but they finally found the dude this Friday, so that's why it's news now. He was giving out some specific threats. He said, I'm thinking 2 automatics with an extendo clips, just so no nigger gets away. So this is what we're dealing with out here. Blacks, this is graduating white black. I think we can call it that. So did y'all get a chance, or did y'all hear about this story at all? It just happened on Friday, really, that they caught the guy.
Right.
Had y'all heard about it?
Yeah, Jonathan.
I didn't hear about this story until you guys brought it to me just today, actually. But just reading it. Actually, this, interesting enough, may be like the safest story or the calmest story out of all the stories we have. We're going to talk about this evening, but
right.
I'll say that because the silver lining is nothing bad did go down, even though he made them threats. Yeah, they were able to stop him before he was able to get any further or whatever. He made them threats or whatever, which is kind of crazy because I'm like, dude, if you was really thinking about doing that, like, why would you put that out on social media? Like, ain't nobody gonna see that. That was the weird thing.
And your dude had a hashtag.
Yeah, I was just,
bomb Harvard.
like, reading the story. I was just like if you was really about that life, why would you like alert people unless you really felt like your white privilege is really gonna help you that much? But I don't know. But yeah, looking at the video there, I didn't know if Harvard did this like special graduation. I'm looking, I was like, dang, this kind of lit. I want to be at their graduation.
Right. And see, I'm about to place a call to the FBI myself, and I'm going to ask them to investigate the whereabouts of alt-right Poppy and the Black Ryan on this particular day, because and Ryan even said it before we started the show when they were playing swag surfing. He's like, what is this mess? So y'all been so anti-lit graduation. I think y'all may have had a role to play in this.
No, stop it.
Where were you at Where were you at on this day?
I didn't say what was this mess. I said how trying to find out how old this story was because they were playing Swag Surfer.
You thought
I'm old.
Yeah, you thought Swag Surfer was 2 years old.
I don't listen to Swag Surfer. Yeah, so I was like, why they playing this old song? I figured y'all had a new song, a Drake song.
Nah, Swag Surfer. Nah, that's it.
You know, don't y'all got some Tekashi?
No, we don't know. We don't mess
listen
with Tekashi 6ix9ine, teriyaki sauce, whatever. I don't respect that dude at all.
Yeah.
No, we do not mess with him.
Okay. Yeah, so that's all I was saying. I don't have a problem with the song. It's fine. Whatever floats your boat. Go ahead, man.
Yeah, and you were talking about the black ceremony. And a lot of schools have this. A lot of, just public schools will have a separate graduation or not a graduation, but just a ceremony for black students or for Latina students or just different cultures, because then you get to embrace that culture. If you have, especially at Harvard, where I don't know what Harvard's probably 0.05% black. So those black students are going to get lost in the shuffle at Harvard. But if you really want to be able to celebrate your culture, to acknowledge those students individually, then they have just a little separate event. It's not a graduation, but it's just a little ceremony just to honor those students. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But again, when you talk about bomb Harvard, that hashtag, or why would he put it on social media? It's just the age we live in today. And we'll see in some other stories, it's like people are just more emboldened in this current climate, this current culture, that they want it to be on social media. They want everybody to know that, hey, I hate these
because you
black
put a
people.
hashtag up because you want people to hashtag with you. Right. You want people to be able to follow the hashtag. And, that's how the races are these days.
Yep. But shout out to Harvard for having a little lit graduation. I know, Brian, you don't like it. You're not a fan of it, but I'm all for it.
I even saw a lady with a baby Swag surfing. I was like, woo.
Hey, she graduated from Harvard. She can do whatever she wants. Yeah. All right. So our next story, I don't know, man. This one ain't gonna be kid friendly. Y'all gonna have to cover the kids' ears.
Yeah, we should have given that.
Maybe should I bleep out
at the beginning?
Should I bleep them all out? I don't know. Right.
Parental advisory is advised for this show because it's a lot of N-words that are gonna be dropped in this show.
All right, and Ishmael named this one, I Hate You, Nigger. So, Ishmael, tell us about this story.
Well, let me say, I didn't name it that. That is the name that was given. That is the phrase that was said. This happened where else but in Florida. South Daytona, particularly. So, there's a gentleman, there's a black guy by the name of Ronald Sweet. He was outside one day, just waxing and washing his silver 2002 Mercury. I think it was a Grand Marquis. It kind of appears to be from the photo. But Mr. Sweet was out washing his car, and all of a sudden his neighbor just came up to him. Let's see, what's his neighbor's name? Joseph Minor, 56 years old. He came out. He told Mr. Sweet that he was tired of him being flashy in his 2002 Mercury Grand Marquis. And he said, I hate you, nigger. Or I imagine he went, I hate you, nigger. And so after a verbal altercation, you can imagine that if somebody just walked up to you and said those words, that you're going to have some choice words back. So after a verbal altercation, it says, Sweet went back in the house with his boo and was like, you know what? I don't even got time for this. We just going to ignore this racist dude, this racist neighbor. We're going to ignore him. And all of a sudden, about 10 minutes later, it was about 12:35 a.m., he heard an explosion. And what happened is his neighbor set his car on fire.
Wow.
So
you mean he set his Mercury on fire?
His 2002 Mercury, and it
his
was
luxury. Luxury Mercury.
Yeah. And
Okay.
Paul asked, when we shared the story, Paul asked, was it sitting on 22s? I don't know if those are 22s in the picture. We will post
Definitely 20s though.
We will post the link in the show notes. But yeah, they're at least 20s. I mean, if you washing, if you are outside washing, especially at night, a 2002 Mercury, it got to have some rims on it, because anybody else is just driving that thing straight through the gas station car wash. So it has some rims on it. But yeah, what do y'all think about this? So like you said, Jonathan, before, that last story, it was really just a threat. This story, this guy actually set his car on fire and blew his car up, and they said there was it's like $5,000 worth of damage on it. So, let me finish the story. So the guy was arrested, but they said they were not going to charge him with a hate crime. They said he was just drunk, and so they charged him basically with destruction of property.
Nothing to worry about, fellas. Nothing to worry about.
Oh yeah, that's what I was waiting for. I was wondering. See, that's the thing. What were they going to charge him with? And of course, he gets that slap on the wrist. Of course, as sadly enough to be expected.
Yeah, the formal charge was arson causing damage to a structure and criminal mischief and damage to property of $1,000 or more.
Oh, mischief. It's never a hate crime, ever. When is anybody charged with a hate crime? I don't know what you have to do. You can murder somebody, holler out nigger, and it's okay. It's not a hate crime. It's just a crime.
He was just drunk. He was just drunk.
He was drunk like T.I. was drunk.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, pretty much. And he also he told the cops that he didn't think they would do anything about those drug dealers. So of course he said they were drug dealers because they were out there flossing their 2002.
That's what makes the story funny. Like all I can do is just laugh at the story. Like, dude, you hating on somebody with a 2002 Mercury? I would have understood if he had like a new Dodge Challenger or something like that with some nice rims.
Right. I would like to remind the listeners that it's 2018.
18.
This car is 16 years old.
That's crazy. Oh my god. I don't know what to say other than it's politics as usual. It's racist white folks as usual. It's America with 3 Ks. This is wild. I don't know. This is wild.
Right.
But don't worry. Don't worry. There's no racism in America. It's better than it was 50 years ago. So we're good.
Yeah. The black people have no reason to complain. Yeah. And this is definitely not a hate crime. Not a hate crime. I hate you, nigger. I blow up your car. Could have set your house on fire.
Yep.
I'm good.
What about your black privilege?
What about black on black crime? Yeah.
What about black on black crime? Yeah.
Right. And I did look at South Daytona. Like I said, it was no surprise to me that this happened in Florida, because it seems like just always something janky happens in Florida. But like South Daytona, the police captain had just resigned unexpectedly over something. I really couldn't find out what it was about. It was some type of chase, but the police chief who was there maybe two months before this happened just suddenly resigned because there was a criminal investigation into him. So would bet that this is something that has been happening in that police department. This isn't an isolated incident, and that's not only in Florida, because we see that happen here in St. Louis. We see that happen in Baltimore. We see this type of thing happen a lot. But yeah, just makes you feel safe that when stuff like that happens, even though he was arrested, but that you won't call it a hate crime. Just call it what it is, man. You can't get more obvious than that.
Yeah. So we talked about Florida. So let's bring it back home. All of us are from St. Louis or in St. Louis right now living, and so maybe things are better here. I don't know. Let's see the next topic. Missouri waitress fired after nigger hunting video.
Yep. And we will also post this link. This is something that is fresh off of the wire pretty much. I think this actually happened today, or at least the story broke today. And so what was really interesting about this, Ryan, I know you work down south and I live down south, and we've had some discussions about that. And I told you, I think that there's like a line. When it comes to South County, there's a line which is like, once you get past this line, it gets a little sketchy. And where this happened, it happened at a place, well, this is not where this happened, but where this young lady works is at a place called Social Bar and Grill. And that is really pretty much right on that line I was talking about, because that's right at Revis Barracks and like 55. And once you get past Revis Barracks, that's when it gets a little sketchy. So
you
anyway,
know what? I can say from experience, it does get a little cold once you get over there.
Yep.
Totally changes. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yep. So basically what happened is this young lady, let me find her name here, Tabitha, she goes by Tabby, Duncan. Somebody posted this to the Snapchat. And again, this is folks just being bold with their racism. And so they're snapping, they're in a truck on a dirt road in the middle of the night, which is white people.
Sounds real sketch. Real sketch.
Let's be honest. And so one person in the truck says, "Hey, so we gonna go nigger hunting tonight or what?" And another guy says, "Yeah, we're going nigger hunting. We're effing nigger hunting right now, huh?" And then this is when Tabitha Duncan, who at this point I think is the only person who has been identified, and she says, "You get them niggers." And she said it just like that. So this was posted to a Snapchat. Now somebody who is not down with that N-word being thrown around, or the idea of hunting black folks, that was not down with it, they posted it to Facebook out in the public. And of course, which we've seen happen a lot, the internet sleuths went to work and they identified this young lady. So she was fired from her job. She was a waitress at this Social Bar and Grill. She got fired from there. There's also been some late breaking news that she may be an Air Force Reserve person. She's a reserve airman in the Air Force. So the Air Force has said that they are doing an investigation into it as well. So it looks like this racist is being brought down. But Ryan, I guess we'll start with you first. What did you think about this story? Just this whole idea of these, she's 20, so these 20-year-old white people just going around talking about, "Hey, we're about to go nigger hunting."
Well, since Paul's not here, I'm going to be alt-right Ryan. I'm going to say that she's young. She's young. Her friends and her, they're out having a good time. No black people. They're just white people. And, they were a little intoxicated. They were doing drugs, I'm sure. And, they just said some things they shouldn't have said. At least that's what they're going to tell us, right?
Right.
They just made a mistake. They have black friends. Or, they've never used the N-word. No. Whatever it is they'll say, even though they just said it 100,000 times. I want to know, what exactly is nigger hunting? That's what I really want to know. Right. What are you normally doing when you nigger hunting and not getting caught? Or y'all, I don't even know what they do. Go ahead.
I mean, like the scene was set. Like when Ishmael was detailing the story, it was like it was at nighttime in Missouri, South Missouri at that, on a dirt road in a pickup truck.
Sounds like somewhere none of us want to be, right? I agree.
I mean, would you want to be out there? Like, that's all I'm saying. Like, the scene was set.
Like, are they?
I mean, it felt like, hey, the table was set.
Or are they just harassing people?
Go nigger hunting, basically.
I don't know. I mean, I'm speechless again. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, we laughing and we're joking about it, but this is 2018, like you said, Ryan.
Right.
This isn't 1965. This isn't 1918. It's 2018, and this is in 1 week where we just had these basically 3 back-to-back stories of this type of behavior.
Yeah.
And she's 20 years old. So, man, like we keep saying, and I remember as a kid, we would always say, oh, well, by the time we get older, the racist people all be dead.
Not a chance.
I'm sure at some point, like Ishmael, I'm sure we had that conversation. Like, no, look, all the white people around us, they cool. So, they like us, and it'll all die off eventually once the old white people die. Why is it still going on?
Old white people teach younger white people racist tendencies. That's why.
Is it being taught, though?
Yeah, why would it?
I don't know. I wonder sometimes, like, is it really? I mean, I don't know. Or you just sitting at the table and y'all just be like, look, when you see a black person,
I don't know if it's quite like that. But
do they have a diagram?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how the dinner table
kids.
Is, but I mean, it's obvious that it's obviously being passed down. If we're in 2018, it can't be. Unless you just learning this through osmosis, or you were just born with it.
Not osmosis.
Maybe they are just born with it. Never thought about that excuse.
I don't know. Maybe.
I was just born that way.
I mean, when you look at kids and how they develop, I mean, a lot of that is just what they witness. They pay attention. It's like with language. You don't necessarily teach kids how to talk. Now, at some point, you do teach words and they go to school and all of that. But kids learn how to talk just from listening to you talk. So kids learn how to be social from watching their parents be social. So that's why so oftentimes you can have, like, let's say you have a white family or white parents, mother and father, and they may not even be quote unquote racist, but they may be uncomfortable around black people. So they don't really have any close black friends. Like, they may be friendly towards black people, but we're not going to let them get too close. Well, kids pick up on that. So now their kids are uncomfortable around black people because they never see their parents really interacting with black people. So kids just pick up on stuff like that. And then when you look at the overtly racist people, the kids notice that. The kids hear the parents say the N-word, or the kids see their parents supporting this ridiculous stuff that Trump says. And I will say that this young lady, she was a avid Trump supporter. She loved Trump, but that's probably just coincidence because Trump is not racist. But she loved Trump. Now, one thing I do want to, a little wrinkled, I want to ask you guys about. Like I said, she was fired from her job. They said, they put out a statement basically saying, we were aware of these vile and disgusting video made. She was fired, doesn't represent our views, yada, yada. But I was looking on their Facebook page, and I kept seeing people making comments that were basically saying,
oh, man, you can't read the comments.
Well, now you want to do that, but what about at first when you were putting out a cease and desist? So, I did my little internet sleuthing, and I guess the first person who commented or who made the post, of course, they attached it to her job, because that's what we do. Once you figure out who it is, you go after their job, they get fired, yada, yada. But people were posting the comments on there, and initially the owner or whoever runs a Facebook account was saying, hey, stop posting this on our page, or we're going to hit you with a cease and desist. We're going to contact our attorneys, basically leave us alone. So what do you feel about that response? Is that a legitimate response? Is a business, you don't want to be tied to your racist employees? Or did they basically, I don't know, did they handle that wrong initially and only fire her once it started to get picked up by national news sources?
I don't know. I mean, it is. I mean, this climate, it is kind of bad for business. I mean, especially what we saw with the Roseanne thing or whatever, the whole Roseanne situation or whatever is. I mean, if it's hurting the bottom line, it's just like, hey, you gotta go. That's how I feel. But whether or not they did it because they feel like she was totally wrong, or they did it because they got, it was getting noticed on a national level or whatever, you never know. But either way, I don't know. Like I said, it's whatever, because like I said, it goes back. If you're gonna hurt our bottom line, you're gonna be out of here. Pretty much, you can't be associated with you right now.
Right.
I don't know. I guess that is a good question. I think if I were an employer of any kind of establishment, and then I find out that something like that is happening with one of my employees, the cease and desist wouldn't be the first thing that I would think about. Because normally, the normal routine is you got to get in front of it. You got to, discipline the person some kind of way, until you investigate. You usually say, well, we're investigating this and we'll get back to you. And then in a couple of days or so, then you say what you're going to do. And in this case, she was terminated. It would not be a place, if it were somewhere near me or somewhere I frequented, I would not go back there. Based on that response. Because if they don't want that information to get out, they really probably weren't going to do anything about it. I don't think. Now, maybe I'm just pulling it out of my butt, but I'm pretty sure that was probably going to be their response. They didn't care at first, and they didn't think it was going to be anything big. And once it became something big, then yes, now we have to start putting out fires.
Yeah, and it's been an interesting array of responses that I've seen just scanning Twitter and Facebook and things, because you see some people, like even black people, that say, hey, we glad that you fired her so quickly. Next time I'm in St. Louis or next time I'm in the area, I'm going to come support your business. And then you see other people, like, hey, if she racist and she was working there, then y'all must be racist too. So you see the whole thing. Where some people are for it, some people are against them. I've seen people say that the owners are Trump supporters too. If you do look at the pictures on there, I think I saw one black girl, and that was like the 10th or 12th picture that I saw. But it's not a very diverse area. This is a place, like I said, not too far from where I live. It's 11 minutes. When I looked on there, and I've never seen that particular business, but I pass that area all the time. Like when I get off the highway, I drive right past it often. So just very interesting. It does make me want to go there one day just to check it out. But it would have
roll
to
the
be
dice.
Right. It'd have to be a
like
very
living on the edge.
Bright, sunny afternoon. It's not near darkness.
You better watch your back.
But I'm gonna go take a selfie over there and post it on Snapchat or Instagram. Like, that's what I feel like you almost have to do at this point. It's just when you got something racist like that, you just get a group of black people and just go take over the establishment. And you don't even have to be ignorant. Just like, hey, we just coming to show we out here. Y'all want to hunt niggas?
Trolling. Never hurt nobody.
Right. Right. All right, so I think we escaped all of the nigger stories. No, I'm just talking about the nigger stories. I think we made it through.
I don't see any niggers in this story. So
yes,
I think we're safe. So y'all can uncover the kids' ears.
Right. Everybody check yourself. You ain't got no bullet wounds, right? We emerged out of that unscathed, right?
Yep.
All right.
All
Well,
right,
Ryan,
so
gonna take us home.
let's move to my my former, I guess, home during college, Memphis. This is a story from the Commercial Appeal. I'm reading from the USA Today story though. A grandmother was recently charged with child neglect. I don't know how to pronounce her name. Lamami? Lamami? Is that her name? Lemony Snickers. I like it. Okay. Lamami Cheeks, who is 62, was charged Sunday with 2 counts of child endangerment after a bystander saw her unlatching 2 grandchildren from a pet kennel. I looked at the video on this. I saw this the other day, and it was one of those stories where I didn't believe it. I was like, clearly there was a misunderstanding. You know, maybe the kid was playing in there. You know, nobody could have possibly done that to their children on purpose. But no. Grandmama Cheeks, she did put her kids back there on purpose. They said they interviewed her, and she admitted that she was riding from Whitehaven, a.k.a. Black Haven, to Collierville with her children in the kennel. She told this to the police. She said that she would check on the children periodically, and later she removed them from the kennel and let them sit in the back seat. Apparently, they said it was 95 degrees. I guess they were doing some ripping and running across town, and they went downtown. They went to Collierville, and none of those places are very close in Memphis. And if you ever been to Memphis, there is one highway that goes around Memphis. Other than that, you driving on the street. So it ain't really a super quick way to get there. So the fact that this lady just left her grandkids in the car is crazy. But in a pet kennel, no doubt. So these 2 little black girls on the video, or at least one little black girl, gets out the kennel. Man, this is for real are the craziest stories we've ever had on this podcast. It's so many things that I don't even have nothing to say to because it's so crazy. Man, Jonathan, what you think?
Again, all I can do is laugh. I mean, laugh at the craziness of these stories. The funny thing is, like how calm the kid was hopping out of the kennel. That's what I'm saying. It's like she hopped out of it like it was nothing.
It's like she just took her seatbelt off.
He was like, I do this every day, B. What you mean? She just hit the ground running. She literally popped out and was like, all right, what's next, Grandma? So, yeah.
Right.
I still can't determine if this grandma is white or black. Like, I can't, I don't know if you guys saw the picture of her, but I thought she was white at first glance, and then
I looked at her picture.
I was like, sure. Nah, she might be light skinned with a funny name. That Lemony, I don't even know how to say her name. Lamami.
I had to say Lamami because that's the best I come up
that's
with.
What I'm calling her. But yeah, I'm like, I don't know. She may be black with a Lamami first name. I don't know, but it's crazy the way.
She live in Black Haven.
I don't know Memphis like that, so I'm gonna take it.
She just light skin. Yeah, it's called Whitehaven, but everybody call it Black Haven because it's all black people. Yeah. So, yep, another white flight situation there.
And she work at FedEx, or she used to work at FedEx. Although
everybody in Memphis work at FedEx.
Right. Oh, I know.
Because ain't nowhere else to work.
Especially all the black people work at FedEx.
Yeah. Exactly. What you think, Ishmael? I don't really know what we can. I don't know, man. What you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Is racist as it sounds, of course, when I heard a dog kennel, then I just knew. I was like, oh, this is a white story, because I can't even fathom, black families putting kids in dog kennels, or dog, what do you call it, just a little cage or whatever. Yeah, it is a kennel. But I saw the little black girl crawl out, and I'm just like what's going on? What makes you do that? And I guess her story was that the car was full. The back seat was full, and she had just bought some dogs or had some dogs in the car, so she just stuffed them in there. I'm sure if you can put kids in a kennel, you could have put whatever was in the back seat in the kennel, or by the kennel,
right.
or
stack them on
something.
top of each other even. Who knows?
But it's just a sad thing, man, that people do, and this isn't really a white or black thing, but every summer you see kids get left in hot cars, or you see animals get left in hot cars as well. But, especially for kids. And how old were these kids again? Was it like 12 and 13? Or I know they were 1 year apart.
I don't think they were that old.
Yeah, the
7
girl
and
that jumped
8.
out
7 and
about
8.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a 7-year-old and an 8-year-old, not only do you put her in a kennel, which just has to be embarrassing, and who knows, I mean, maybe a kid at that age, you think, oh, this is an adventure, but by the time they get older, they're going to think back and just be like, how could you do this? So I'm glad, again, talk about social media a lot, I'm glad that somebody had the wherewithal to take a video of this, to share that out, because I don't think that this was a one-time event. Like you said, she looked comfortable hopping out of there.
She was extra calm getting out.
If it really was something where this was just a one-time thing, maybe you say it's a bad idea, but maybe she don't. But this just seemed like it's something that's been going on. And when you're dealing with the heat, when you're dealing with just the kids that age, it's just a terrible idea. It's just awful.
Hey, did y'all see the video where they were talking to her neighbors?
No, I didn't.
So the reporters, if you go further down in the story, the reporters go to her, or maybe it was just another link that I saw, but they were going to her neighbors' houses and asking them, like, who is this lady? What type of person is she? Et cetera, et cetera. And like, the neighbors' reactions were exactly like ours is. Like, they kind of looked at it and they was like surprised, and then they kind of laughed like, what is this? Like, I can't believe this is happening. The one lady said that she was helped her one time, and she was always nice, and her, her mother had dementia, and she was helping her, help her find her and stuff like that. And the other neighbors were all, everybody had good stories to tell about the lady. So, like, you just never know. I mean, I hope this was a one-time situation, but I doubt it. It's like, if you got the mental where you're going to put a kid in a kennel at any point in time, man, they probably in the kennel at the crib. They probably, their punishment is to get in the kennel or something like that, or worse. And I feel for the kids, man, where this is their life.
Right.
My bad. I guess I made it super dark.
No, it's hard to figure out what even to say about it, because it's just so weird and random that somebody would do that you just don't even know what to say. But I guess my question would be, so what's the weirdest or oddest place that your parents have put you in, or that your parents have,
what?
Or the weirdest predicament that your parents made you do, whether it was riding in the car or whatever?
What's the statute of limitations? No, I'm just kidding. I'm cool.
Because I remember,
Jonathan, you can go first if you got something, but go ahead, Ish.
I was gonna say, I remember, and this isn't a parent, saying my mother, but I remember, like, back in the day, going to hoop or going to the park or whatever. I used to go to this little this basketball ministry called Kibbutz, and they would come through in like a Volkswagen Beetle, or later it was like a station wagon, and you have a station wagon, it'd be like 15 kids in there, packed in like sardines. And now, if that happened, people would be frowned upon, but back in the day, like, that's just what was life. Like, that was normal. It's just like, hey, they coming to round up all the kids, let's get in there. We got 5, 10, 15, 17 kids in this little bitty car, but we going where we need to go. So just wondering if y'all have had any experiences like that, or just weird weird things like this.
Jonathan, you're probably too young for anything like this. You grew up in the age of everything was abuse.
No. No, you're not going to slander the millennials right now. Would not allow that. Would not allow the millennial slander. But this is a story about my parents. This is actually, funny enough, is a story about my grandmother. We like a lot of black kids. We spent me and my brother, our cousins. We spent a lot of time at our grandparents' house or whatever, like weeks. A lot of times, like, even our cousins, they used to live with our grandparents for like maybe even a year or two. But yeah, like the summertime or whatever, it was me, my brother, and my cousin or whatever. Me and my cousin, we were close in age. I'm trying to think, what age were we? We couldn't have been older than like 12. And my brother, he was maybe we was probably like 10, and my brother was maybe about 6. And like my grandma was in a rush to get us, to whatever destination we was going. So we at the house playing around. She had enough, and she just made all of us take a shower together. It was like the craziest experience. I was like, yeah, I don't know. I was scarred after that. Oh man, it was. I was trying to. I think we was I want to say we was around 10, 11, or 12. So we were around the age the puberty is about to creep up. So it was like wild. Like he's like, Grandma, why? No, we don't want to take a shower together or whatever. But she forced us to take a shower together, and then she was washing us and stuff. It was, I don't know. It was horrible. Me and my cousins and my brother, we laugh about it to this day, but it was a wild experience.
Yeah.
I bet
you.
you.
And see, she was
just
trying to save that water. Can't have 10 kids
crazy,
taking a shower
it's like,
separately.
Nah.
What about you, Ryan?
I'm gonna say that, of course, as a kid, there were no SUVs. We couldn't afford no minivans, and you just had to come and go in the car that you had. And generally, we would always flip-flop cars. You know what I'm saying? Like if my mom went over aunt's house, and we went somewhere else, the aunt might drive again. And we would do it that way. Nobody drove both ways because we had to save that gas money, even though gas was $1 a gallon. So I remember plenty of times us going over my May house. Shout out to Auntie May. She had a car which was called a Rabbit. Do you remember Rabbits?
I remember Rabbits. Yes.
So she had a white Rabbit, which is a super small car, and it was me, my sister, her 2 kids, and we probably had some other random friends or something. But it had to be probably at least 5 or 6 of us trying to pile in the back of the white Rabbit. Not enough space in there. It literally had 2 seat belts. It didn't have 3. Because it didn't have that middle piece.
Right.
It was just 2 seats. And so somebody was sitting on somebody's lap, somebody else was sitting on somebody else's lap, and somebody else was probably on the floor. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was. And you had to scoot your seat up if you was driving or you was in the passenger seat. And that's kind of just how we got around. But, those were the times. We had air conditioning, we was driving, we wasn't walking. But the cops didn't bother you back then about stuff like that. So, different day and age.
Right.
I lived through it. I'm glad it was there because I can appreciate having a 3-seater back seat or SUV or a minivan and, seats that are all motorized and stuff like that, man. We got to appreciate those things.
Yeah. Like I remember back in the day when you were riding in the back of a truck. And I'm trying to think of who had a truck.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Somebody had a pickup truck. And me and my cousin, we'd just be sitting in the back of the truck. It'd be like 3-4 of us in the back of the truck. There's no top.
How about sitting on the side of the back of the truck?
Yep, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, he's sitting on the side.
You wasn't sitting down. You sitting
Pops
on
would
the
be
side.
like, no, get off that rail. I'd be like, nah, this is fun.
You leaning on the roof. Get out. Yeah, It was good days. Good
And
times. Good times.
of course, there was a time I fell out of a moving vehicle. This was not a truck, but it's get a little bit off topic, but I might as well tell it. So I was going somewhere. I was in my dad's car, me and my cousin Tiffany. Shout out to Tiffany. And I'm just sitting there playing with the door handle. Don't know why. And my pops kept telling me, hey, quit playing with that door handle. I'm like, the door locked. Like, there's nothing happening. So we in the city, off like Kings Highway and actually I think Natural Bridge and Kings Highway. We're about to make a left. And he's at a stoplight. And I'm just sitting here playing with the door handle. And so the light turned green and he started to roll. Well, I pulled the door handle and the door opened. So I went flying out on the middle of the street. So my dad, he drives forward and my cousin like screams like, we call my dad, she screamed for my dad. And so he stopped the car. So as soon as he stopped, I'm tripping because I'm like, I know I'm about to get a butt whooping. So when I fell out the car, like he rolled forward and he stopped, I jumped back in the car like quick and shut the door. And so I'm just sitting there. I got my hands on my lap and I'm just sitting there like, what happened? And so when I was jumping in the car, my dad was jumping out the car. So he didn't immediately see me. So he's thinking he rolled over me. So he's like on his hands and knees looking underneath the car like, ish. And I'm just sitting in the car like, I'm not about to say a word. I'm acting like nothing happened. And so eventually he realizes I'm in the car. And so I don't even think I got a whooping about that, but we still laugh and talk about that today because he was literally starting to drive when this light turned green, when the door opened and I literally rolled out the car, got up, hopped back in the car, and he thought he done ran me over. So, Pops, I apologize for that. I'm sure I scared the mess out of you. But kids, don't play with door handles, please.
That's where you get the safety lock. Bad little kid.
Right.
Yeah, them joints was not invented.
That was before safety locks back then.
There was no childproof windows. They didn't stop halfway. See, y'all millennials don't know what it's like to have your life on the line.
I'm probably the reason that safety locks were invented, actually.
Yeah. Y'all got to know, when we was out here in these streets, every day was a possible day to die. See, y'all don't know because we done protected everything for you. You can't even open the cabinet door when you a baby.
Oh, Lord. And see, that's why I'm glad we got Jonathan on the show, because I told y'all some old fogies, man. And even though I'm actually the oldest on the show, we did need some young energy on the show to balance out some of this old headedness that we got, and that's myself included. So definitely appreciate you for coming on, young Jonathan.
It's still safe out here in these streets.
So as facts.
You got mass shooters.
We look at the first 3 stories that we did.
People getting thrown in kilns and all that. Cars being set on fire.
Exactly. So Jonathan, once again, man, we're going to give you an opportunity to plug the Taste Test Podcast. Tell people where they can find you at, or any other things that you want to plug
you can
about.
Follow Taste Test Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, and on Twitter. On Twitter is a little different. It's called Taste Test Pod. We're also on YouTube at Taste Test Pod, as well on SoundCloud, Anchor, Pocket Cast, all these other Podbeam, all that, for real, like Stitcher as well. Yeah, we're trying to figure out what's going on with our Apple Podcasts or whatever. We only got 2 episodes, even though we have a total of 10. You don't have to figure that out, but yeah, you can follow us all on those other social media and podcast platforms at Taste Test Podcast.
I got y'all down, so I'm gonna check y'all out sometime this week.
Yeah, we get a little raw and uncut a little bit, so you might have to. If you got kids, I wouldn't suggest your kids listen to us, but
yeah, I don't play no podcast with my kids in the car except for my own, because all the rest of them you never know.
Yeah, definitely check out our latest episode. We talked about the new Kanye West album. That's our latest episode, and then we're gonna be uploading a new one this week as well. where we're gonna have a guest artist on. But yeah, that's us.
Maybe.
So when do I get to come on and spit some bars, man? I need to do a.
You gotta actually have some work,
man.
You gotta
so just let me know.
You gotta actually have some work as an artist.
Yo, we do. We had so many songs. You ain't told them. You ain't told us about our rap careers, man.
I not yet, man. You had to lay it on them piece by piece. You know, he wasn't
y'all
ready for
don't
that
like
yet,
Nas, so I don't know if I can. Acumen. I don't know. Y'all don't like Illmatic. I don't know what's wrong with y'all.
I'm pretty sure half the country don't like
you. You are nuts.
People don't talk about it.
Nuts. I don't understand y'all. Oh my.
What's real quick, Jonathan? What's the best album in 2018?
This is really early right now. I can't.
So far, give me one.
I'm gonna say
give me three. And
okay,
say it's
I got one.
Definitely ain't that yay because I listened to 3 songs
I got
and turned
one.
it
It's
off.
called The Book of Ryan by Royce the Five.
Yes.
And then after that, I got Daytona by Pusha T and everything else.
Okay. See, because I keep trying to get Ishmael on Royce. He ain't been feeling them. I mean, his rhyme style is so much different now since he said that he went to that play.
A lot more older and mature now, like especially on this one. He really detailed a lot of stuff in his life.
The album is dope though. Yeah.
I'll check it out. I'll check out the new one, especially if you're talking about. I like.
Yeah, you should
stuff.
like it.
Authentic
you
stuff.
talk about stuff, from your time. You should be able to relate.
From that time.
Like it's so far in the past.
I don't have no beef with Royce. I think Royce is a talented artist. Like I listen to his stuff. I'm just not like Ryan is all Royce. Like Ryan say he's like one of the top 5, and I'm like I'm not going there with it. But yeah, I got no beef with Royce. So anyway, let's go ahead and wrap this up. I guess I will just introduce myself with the ending.
Ishmael,
part.
where can they find us?
Want to follow? If you want to find the Black Delegates, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Black Delegates. There is an underscore between Black and Delegates. We are also on the Facebook. We are at Black Delegates Pod. If you want to follow Ryan on Twitter, he is at the Black Ryan. If you want to follow me, I am at Ish Creates. Ryan, if people want to listen, if they want to recommend us to folks, where can they find us?
Everywhere you can listen to a podcast. I don't think every week I'm going to go through all this list. You know, it's kind of a waste of time. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to the podcast, you probably already know how to get to a podcast. I do want to shout out our the new reigning #1 fan of the Black Delegates Podcast, Ishmael's mom.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to give you a hand clap right now. Yes. I'm going to have to take that name out. I got to edit that. Where we at? Hour 8 to 8. I'm going to edit the name out. But, yeah, she has come on, and she has come on a blaze. She has taken the trophy from Minister Russell from my church because he was on it every day. He'd be like, hey, man, love that podcast. Right afterwards, he was like, y'all should talk about this next week. Y'all should talk about that. Like, man, love the podcast, blah, blah, blah. And, you know, but Ishmael's mom came in, and she is taking it to another level. She's on the Facebook group. She is on the Facebook page. She's commenting. She's talking about it on there. She's we got a little back and forth going a couple times. Man, she's far surpassed Mr. Russell. So shout out to Mama Phenom, our #1 fan, mother of the podcast.
Absolutely. And I told y'all once I saw her follow or like the Facebook page, I said it's coming. And I'm not, I'm appreciative of it. You know, my mother, she'll call me. She'll be like, oh, when Paul said such and such, that really made me giggle. Or she sent me I don't know if it was text or email, I think today. It was like, oh, you're just so well read and I'm so proud of you. And my mother is a doting mother. Yes. So she loves the podcast. So, Mama, I appreciate you for listening to it. And, Ryan, you need to talk to your mama, man. Get her on board, too.
I'm going to tell her. I'm going to say, Ishmael's mama is our number one fan, and you haven't listened to not no podcast. None of my family has. I'm a podcast orphan out here in these streets.
My mama will adopt you. I guarantee
okay,
that.
Cool. So there's hope yet. What about you, Jonathan? Does your mom listen to your podcast?
My mom, she listened to like our first episode. She's like, yeah, I can't listen to this. Y'all curse too much for me. So my mom was out.
See?
And then my dad, he gave me like a whole novel about how I should be cursing and all this. So when it is my parents, I just let them know that I'm just still going strong with my podcast, and they respect it from afar.
He like, I'm grown now, Mom. I can say whatever I want, can't I?
My mom, I never know my mom to ever curse. No matter how mad she gets, hopefully I'll never see her curse a day in her life. She don't even say the N-word. That's how clean and PC my mom is.
That's what's up. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
There's something to it, man. You gotta have some restraint. It pushes you to other levels if you don't. So, yeah.
Well, I say to Mama and Papa Jonathan, if you are looking for a clean podcast where the host ain't coming up all on the microphone, spitting out cuss words, then come over to the Black Delegates Podcast. You are welcome here. We're family friendly. Now we did drop a lot of N-words today, but it was all direct quotes from the news.
Yes.
Yep. All right. So I think that's it. I think we can wrap it up this week. Jonathan, thank you again for being on, man, because I wasn't sure how it would go if it was just me and Ishmael talking to each other. We probably would have been off topic or we would have ran long. So that seems to be...
I appreciate y'all having me on.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, did we have a black business or anything to shout out? I don't have one this week.
No, we just going to shout out Taste Test Podcast.
Okay.
So make sure you check them out. Jonathan already gave you the information, and I was holding off on plugging them until he got his situation right because, like he said, it was only 2 episodes showing on a lot of platforms, but now they got most of that ironed out. So Taste Test Podcast, check them out, and we appreciate you. We will get back with you next week.
Yep, next week we're probably going to talk about why Dennis Rodman on here crying about the president giving his speech and talking to Kim Jong. It's ridiculous.
Oh, he's supposed to be friends with Kim Jong.
Yes, he over there crying, man. We ain't had time to talk about it, so I'm going to have to talk about it next week.
All right.
So tune in next week.
All right,
Peace.